What's up, guys? I'm BTC. With the first couple days of the Overwatch League Stage 2, we've seen some changes in the hero picks. Does this mean that the meta has finally moved away from GOATs? The short answer is no. Alright guys, let's wrap it up. Definitely not gonna hit the 10-minute mark on this one. Thanks for watching, and if you'd like to see more, subscribe. The longer answer is that this happens every single time there's any kind of change to the game. Whether it is significant balance changes, a rework, or a new character, you always have the same group of people, and it tends to be the same people every time. They're prominent within the Overwatch community, and they keep saying, the meta has changed! Remember when Bastion got changed? And there was like a slight increase in the effectiveness of his sentry mode, and suddenly Bastion was meta, and it didn't happen. And then Reaper got his lifesteal change, and Reaper's gonna be meta, and he didn't have any impact at all. What ends up happening when Blizzard makes these changes is the pro players are still gonna stick to what they know, and they're gonna stick to the most effective strategy, which is GOATs. But because this is the first couple days of Stage 2, they're going to be testing out different comps, different strategies to see if things are actually going to be effective. Now, they've already practiced some of this stuff in scrims, but there's really only so much you can do there. Like, you really have to take it into the full tournament setting with everything on the line in order to find out if these comps are going to be fully viable. Now, we've seen a little bit of Bastion, we've seen some of that bunker comp with the Symmetra and the Baptiste, and even Torbjorn has been thrown in there, you know, all of them sitting behind an Orisa barrier. Now, this only works on defense. There was one particular incident where a team tried this on attack and just got absolutely destroyed. It was just an incredibly terrible idea, so it's definitely not going to be a viable attack strategy. Then we've seen other comp types with multiple supports. We're talking 4 supports here. We've also seen 1 Hammond, triple DPS, double support, and there's just a variety of stuff that the teams are trying. This happens all the time. Does it mean the meta has shifted? We don't really know yet, because the fact of the matter is there hasn't been enough testing and enough games to actually find out if any of these particular comps are going to be fully viable. When GOATS comp was completely destroying everything, some teams started testing out a disrupt comp with Hammond, Doomfist, and Sombra rather. And this actually was decently effective at countering GOATS comp. Unfortunately, Blizzard decided to nerf Doomfist into the ground, and it just completely destroyed that comp, and it was no longer viable, so it went away, and GOATS was just reigning supreme. Here's the interesting thing, is that some of the teams have been running GOATS, but they decided to swap out Brigitte and instead play Baptiste. It seems like it was a little bit more situational, and overall it was weaker than the Brigitte version, which is why after a couple of matches you would see the teams just default right back into the Brigitte version of GOATS comp. But I mean, it was there, it was tried, it didn't quite work as well as expected, I don't think, but, you know, it's nice to see a variety of different comps trying to get played, and more characters, and I've said this in the past, I don't like the fact that Bastion has one of the most horrifically bad pick rates in the entire game. I don't like seeing a character with a 0.04% pick rate. It's just not good for the game. I would like to see more Symmetra, more Torbjorn, more Bastion, and some of these other characters, even Reaper, who aren't really used in these high-level games. But you can't just assume that suddenly the meta is going to shift after a couple of games of these teams experimenting with different comps. It's just not how it works. This leads into the Force 222 lineup that a lot of people have been asking for the competitive ladder. I know not everyone likes it, but it does seem like the majority of the players in the competitive side of Overwatch would rather have a role queue with a Force 222 competitive ladder. For all of us non-pro players, adding a role queue with a Force 222 is a significant project for Blizzard. It's not something they can just slap together overnight. It's going to take them a while in order to program all that and then implement it into the game. But if they wanted to change the Overwatch League, they could do that right now. They already have all of that functionality already in the game. They would simply require the teams to use the looking for group system effectively, and they would lock each player into their respective role, 2 support, 2 DPS, 2 tank, and then when they go into the game, all of that functionality is already there. It's already been done. So they could have that 2-2-2 experiment in the Overwatch League before they ever add it to the competitive ladder for all of the rest of us. Again, it's a really big project for the rest of us, but for the Overwatch League, they could turn that stuff on right now. Or if they didn't want to do it at the start of the stage, then maybe they could wait until Stage 3 kicks off, and then they could implement that Force 2-2-2. And if they were to do that, I think the excitement for the Overwatch League would dramatically rise right away, because you would all of a sudden have all these new comps that players have to run. I honestly think that a lot of it would probably end up going to dive right away, because that's kind of what they're familiar with and that's what's strong, but you would definitely start seeing a lot of other comp variations popping up, because they would be forced into that 2-2-2. Overnight, Blizzard could drastically shake up the Overwatch League, make the experience a lot more exciting, have a lot more team comps, and they don't need to program anything. It's already in the game. So for those of you that do watch the Overwatch League, would you like to see them use that looking for group system to force the 2-2-2 in order to try to shake up the team comps and make the game more exciting? And for those of you that don't watch the Overwatch League, would this actually be enough of an interest in order to make you start watching? Let me know down below. Thanks for watching, and if you'd like to see more, subscribe and hit that bell so you don't miss anything. Also, come hang out in my Discord server and my Twitch live stream. Special thanks to my Patreon supporters. If you'd like to see what kind of cool VIP rewards you can get, check the links down below. And remember, always blame the controller, because it's never your fault.